Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Smarak, and today I'm going to do a video. Well, you've seen the title, you know what it's about, but let me roll on through and see what the uncanny Omar is doing at his near mint condition site on YouTube. He had an announcement. In starting this video, I forgot that when you read the title, you already know what this is about, but let's hear him say it.
Paperbacks are out of print. And it is X-Men related. One by John Byrne. And one that some people I'm going to be announcing today.
Well, we got the John Byrne part, right?
This one here is another one by John Byrne. And one that some people have wanted for a while, and people have asked me, because the trade paperbacks are out of print. And it is X-Men related. So I'm talking about X-Men The Hidden Years Omnibus. For the very first time, this story right here is going to be collected in omnibus format. So let's take a look at your standard edition cover. And the standard edition cover here is supplied by John Byrne, which of course it makes sense since he's the one that wrote and drew it. But it shows the team with their second outfits. And that's the cover that will be available everywhere. Now let's talk about what the contents of the book are going to be. So again, we'll put the contents down here, but this collects X-Men The Hidden Years 1 through 22, Fantastic Four 102 to 104, and material from X-Men 94 and Amazing Adult Fantasy number 14. Now, let's take a look at the direct market cover, and I'll talk about what exactly this is. Your direct market cover is also supplied by John Byrne, again, the series creator, writer, and artist of this particular series. And what exactly is this series? Well, the series is like a look back at the classic Silver Age X-Men.
So there we go. We got the idea that it's going to be reprinted for the third time. That's number 3 after being canceled after 22 issues. I have, oh no, that's not them. I have the Pocket Books, which was the UK, the first reprints that started the line of Pocket Book series. Now, the Hidden Years was reprinted here well before they stopped it. By the end of the time they were doing these, there's a good 20 to 30 of them, of a bunch of others, a couple of West Coast Avengers, the X-Men were reprinted through the John Romita run, probably. So there was so many of them: Iron Man, Hulk, Spider-Man, of course. There's many pocket books, but the Hidden Years was the one that started it, right? And then Marvel, as they always do, flood the market with these things. No, sorry, I had to look at the text message. All right, so let's get into the Hidden Years, right? So to get before, because I did a video about some beef, right? So what was it? All right, so let's keep going. Oh, wait a second. What is this? Keep getting text messages. So sorry guys. All right, so the Hidden Years, when John Byrne was doing Chapter 1, and Marvel asked him to do a kind of a reboot on Spider-Man. He went into the office and he pitched X-Men: The Hidden Years, right? He pitched this side, no, he didn't pitch that. He pitched this, right? Pitched The Hidden Years. And Marvel said, Bob Harris and the higher up said yes. They asked him would it be a mini series. He said no, it would be an ongoing series, but at the same time, it would basically be elastic. It could go on forever. You know, I guess it'd be similar to like the Superboy series. And the people up top said, this is great, Byrne on that one. If it's a success and it keeps going, that's even better, right? So now Byrne had also, when he went back to Marvel in, I guess it's 88, 89, he also pitched the Hidden Years to Tom DeFalco. And at that time, Tom DeFalco said two titles with the name X-Men would be confusing to the readers. Even though there was classic X-Men and regular Uncanny X-Men. Then soon after, what happened? They had another X-Men title, X-Men #1. So and Byrne has it in print, talking to Tom DeFalco and saying that he did say that. He did decline the idea of doing the Hidden Years back in 88, right? So, with that said, Byrne had Chapter 1 going. He had Spider-Man going. So, the Hidden Years was kind of like not, he was doing a lot of issues beforehand and getting things ready, plotting things out, doing some research, and at the same time a bunch of other retro projects were coming out from Marvel. They had Avengers 1.5. They had Rob Liefeld that was getting on this. He was going to do something called I think it was Cable Year One, after looking at the -1 issue with the Cable with the long hair. So there's a lot of things, and at the same time that Byrne was speaking about this, Joe Casey was going around and saying the X-Men don't have an origin. So he was going to fill that gap with Children of the Atom. Now, a lot of times when Byrne has talked about Children of the Atom, it's been like, hey, the fans didn't know what the difference was between this and this. And you say, I don't know about that. But I say, you understand that Byrne has a monthly series that was going on, right? So before that comes, we got this. Two of the same team at the same time. Now, this is different from, say, giving the readers the same sort of stuff at the same time. So it's kind of weird that it kind of undercut Children of the Atom, because Joe Casey was already talking about Chapter 1 and saying how different Children of the Atom was. And it was like kind of weird that we're getting two sort of X-Men. But I'm a big originals fan, so I wanted to see this series, especially done by Steve Rude. So it was going to be something I was going to be buying both, right? But at the same time, imagine this: when Byrne was doing Spider-Man, there was like 6 Wizard articles on Byrne doing Spider-Man. There was like Twice Told Tales. There's obviously articles. I wish I don't know where my X-Men articles are, guys. But we're gonna just kind of show you. You had Howard Mackie, Mac Daddy, talking about the Spider-Man, the regular Spider-Man titles. The constant debates on the redesigns. Initial talk, shaking up Spidey. I've already showed you Howard Mackie. I think there's another Howard Mackie interview. Rats. Should show you this instead of that. Another Howard Mackie. That was that one that I was showing you. Not done. Not done. Byrne interviewed. And this, they kind of get a little snide with their commentary. King of the Revamps. Then Marvel did their own, right? Marvel did their own. They did, even Wizard kind of did a Who Should, even though Byrne already had the job. So it's kind of weird. So even though there was some negative stuff possibly started by Wizard, it was heavily promoted, right? And the Hidden Years had what was it? In Marvel, they had a subscription thing with this image on it of the originals. That was the basic thing. Wizard had a blurb on it, which was, can I give you guys an idea of what it was? Look at the size of the Pacheco thing here, leaving the X-Men. That was the size of it. I don't know where my thing is. I wish I had it right with me, but I'm missing something else key important. So, and also, imagine how Marvel used to kind of do give you these little posters for the Casada Daredevil thing, and they did a Spider-Man one, chapter one, the creepiest picture, kind of Byrne did here. So there was a lot of solicitations for that. And for the Hidden Years, there wasn't much, right? So with that said, he was interviewed online at some point later, right? But he had a bunch of other books that were going on at the same time. So I wish I knew where that was. But anyway, let me keep going, right? So it seems like the promotion wasn't there, right? They did talk to Byrne about all of his stuff in, what's that thing, Comics Buyer's Guide. They did a thing on everything Byrne was doing, but it's not really kind of telling you what was going on with the, I mean, just there's some stuff on it, but it was like everything he did. The Lost Generation, Spider-Man, X-Men, and they keep talking about and doing DC, generations for DC, right? Whereas as for Children of the Atom, it's like this ad was everywhere. This ad was in Wizard all the time. And then you got this article in Comics Buyer's Guide, Children of the Atom, long-lasting origin. Now the X-Men had an origin, but I think, who was it? Joe Casey. Well, here's some more. I don't know. Joe Casey basically saying that X-Men origin isn't up to snuff with the X-Men. So, he was going to update them, but it wasn't going to be anything like Chapter 1, which it was, he did the movie version. I did another video talking about Chapter 1 and its origins and stuff like that, right? So let's get back to the X-Men. So Byrne is doing that, and it comes out, does okay. He said, I think it was a palpable hit. Talks about it here. Initially, Byrne's plan was there's an article in here in the back of the first issue where he talks about how he got started on it, right? And he's like saying, taking on the book, trying to do something similar to Neil Adams, but he's not Neil Adams, right? And he's not the John Byrne of the past. And then he said the last gag was he's not Tom Palmer, but he doesn't have to. And he said his plan was to ink it himself, but when he had taken on a decent amount of work, he decided to, hopefully thinking about getting an inker, and then Tom Palmer was available. So, but I think a lot of decent inkers like Tim Townsend, Andy Smith, a lot of people were interested in inking it. And ultimately Tom Palmer got it. And I think it was a worthwhile choice. I think Byrne said recently, he would have tried to get Terry to do it and see, the kind of, pull all people in for the X-Men, right? But anyway, it was artistically, Byrne was pretty happy. As far as creatively, these are characters that he wanted since he was doing the X-Men back in the 70s. Like at some point when he fell out of love with the new X-Men, he was still kind of clamoring for the originals. He was thinking about bringing back the originals before Jim Shooter kind of nixed their plans, and not the Phoenix plans, the plans that where they were going to have a junior team of X-Men with Kitty and the original Caliban and the black kid from the Fantastic Four. They were going to be kind of the New Mutants, and the idea that X-Men were going to go through the original Dark Phoenix saga, and the team was going to break up, and then the originals were going to come back. And if you look at Elsewhere, I think there's a notation. I think I'm going to do a video on it. Byrne says Cyclops robot, and it kind of plays out in Elsewhere. We see the mutant robot type things that are going on there. So yeah, so everything to the good for Byrne, right? So now that I've done that, I want to show you one of the struggles with when you have a title that's, you know, being undercut by a title that's similar to it, right? And how you could kind of get pushed out of the solicitations, right? So here we go to Comic-Con, right? Oh, here we go. I'm all tiny again. It shouldn't be like that, right? So here, 94, which was number 2, where the Hidden 2 Years was introduced. That's the number 2 book at the time, right? In 1999, right? And at the same time that was coming out, Children of the Atom comes out at the same time, landing at number 10 spot, right? So you're saying, well, what? It was already X-Men is in there. Is the Hidden Years is in issue number 1, and that is number 10. So what does it mean? That they're right in line with the sales, right? So let's go back. So we go. That was September of 19. So if we go to the next month, the Hidden Years come in, and it's almost getting the same numbers, right? It gets the same numbers. It hits number, gets the 10 spot, right? Children of Adam goes down, right? So you have, and look at that number of readers, right? So the first issue had a decent number of readers, right? To say, hey, this is what I think Byrne said, a pulpable hit, right? So that's over 100,000 readers reading the original X-Men, right? Let's keep going. You're going to see something that's going to be, well, I think it's interesting, but I don't know if it's going to work for you guys, right? So next month goes down 4 spaces. Children of the Atom goes down 3, right? Keep in mind, that's issue 3. Get to December. Now, if anyone knows Children of the Atom, you should already know what's going to happen here, right? Now, the Hidden Years takes a drastic drop in 3. It drops down to number 26, and the Hidden Years, the chapter 1 goes up. That means it was ordered more than the Hidden Years, right? So when the Marvel said this issue's coming out, when we kind of, actually I can't even say that. This is the thing they solicited. They picked that over issue 3, right? So they said they bought more of it, right? Whereas they bought less of the Hidden Years, right? So you're saying, hey, this is just how business is, right? Let's keep going. So now we hear issue 4 was resolicited, right? But it just lost a little bit, right? But that meant that that month before wasn't actually sales. So the sales that the Hidden Years could have gotten went to the orders of this. Hidden Years stays in the spot. It's at 4. It's in the top 30 of books. So, it's not, it's a okay seller, right? Children number 5 is at 26, right? So now the retailers have kind of lost faith, and now they know that Steve Root isn't there. So they put their orders in. It's a little less, and now the Hidden Years has dropped again, right? So keep going. Now Hidden Years hasn't missed a month, right? But it goes down again, another drop. For some strange reason, it drops there. No Children of the Atom. Where is it? Right? So there's no the Hidden Years drops more, and issue 5 is been has been out, but we're not seeing 6. So this miniseries should be done. So it looks like 2 issues were delayed and whatnot. I think we're gonna see the big surprise coming up here, right? Children of the Atom number 3, resolicited number 3. So that's a good 4 or 5 months. We had something taking orders, and at the same time, no book is out, right? So all the money that's put to that is gone to waste, right? But no one seems to care about that. So that's one of the things that I think in my mind kept it from being a top X book, right? Because you had the interest. Joe Casey had a little buzz with the cable series and stuff like that, and he got his name in the press, so he was kind of a name that was going around. But this, all they had to do was wait. Let the Hidden Years go. Let Steve Root finish this. And by issue 12, Steve Root would have been done, because he did what is it, 2 other Marvel miniseries for Captain America and Spider-Man that were on time. So if you put this on the back burner, you let it stay, and then you would have got the number 1 sales. It probably would have pushed the Hidden Years down, but you don't undercut something else, right? So the Hidden Years is not a huge X seller, but it's it's a book that sells okay, where is it at? How far? It's at 55, right? Still better than Batman Lobo and a bunch of other stuff, right? But it's also doing better than what? Captain Marvel, a book, and I don't think Spider is doing better than Spider-Girl. The 2 books that Marvel will continue to publish while the Hidden Years was out there, right? So what can we say, right? So there we go. We got something else that was going with it, but Byrne was doing it, hitting his marks, and at the same time he was thinking if sales went down, he would readjust his contract so it wouldn't hurt Marvel that much, right? But that didn't happen. Joe Quesada comes in, he takes over. Byrne is happy. They said, from scale of 1 to 10, what's your excitement level on this? And he said 208, right? He said he had plans to bring in, obviously, a surprise guest, which he revealed that he was going to have people figured it out, so he kind of pushed it way further back, but he's going to have North Star and Aurora show up, which of course Wolverine would show up somewhere in the background. We would have there was thing of doing Doctor Doom was going to show up. I asked about Lucifer, which Byrne said yes. And is there anything else? And then we still had to deal with Professor Xavier and his struggles. So that's all I'll say. But when everything came to a head, I said it before. Byrne had talked to Quesada. Quesada said, "Hey, you got anything that I could promote? Any events happening?" And the closest thing that he had planned was issue 25, where the original X-Men were going to meet the new X-Men in the Hidden Years. He's going to figure a way on 25, and he's going to drag Terry Austin in. He possibly was going to do something with the Silver Surfer story that he had done before, right? So as things were going, next thing you know, he started to hear from Rich Johnston that the Hidden Years was canceled. It was canceled at like 15 or something like that. And it said 17. And then he went to Quesada. Quesada said no. And then what happened? And then Walter Simonson wrote on John Byrne's blog, "Hey, is the Hidden Years being canceled and other profitable books?" And Byrne said yes. And then that led no, at that point, who was it? Walter Simonson had signed Byrne up to do Orion, and he'd also gotten Terry Austin to ink it. And then what else did he have planned? So then Quesada realized that Bill Jemas had wanted Byrne to do the end, and since he had already canceled the Hidden Years, Quesada went to Byrne and said, "Well, I'll finish publishing the last, 5 or 6 issues if you agree to sign on the dotted line on the end." Byrne said no. And then the money people said Byrne has been so ahead of schedule. We paid him on time. He sent in the books on time. We paid him on time, where everyone else works kind of behind, like the same way the chapter one, what's the name of way Children of the Atom worked, where people were basically almost month to month. Byrne was kind of ahead of schedule, right? So with that said, Byrne bowed out, and they said it was redundant, and it was a book, between the panels. There was a many other things that Quesada said, and Byrne vowed not to work for Marvel, right? And then he had some talks with Marvel post that. I've said that before a few times. Almost working at Marvel a few times for Fantastic Four Forever, and obviously the Elsewhere, where they were in talks and doing that. And they also, some editors had called Byrne up, and he talked to them for like a little while, I think via email. So it was it kind of went away, but nothing's happened in recent times, right? So Children of the Atom ultimately got finished without Steve Rude, which is almost pointless, but they did, and it didn't turn out to be the origin that it was supposed to be. But Roy Thomas had already done origins for the originals already, which was fine, right? So with that said, Quesada fans, everyone said that this would never be reprinted. That, see, look at all this other stuff. All these other X books and such are being reprinted, and none of the Byrne stuff is being reprinted. Point taken that there was no interest, right? And then we got the pocketbooks. Then we got the out of print trades, the 2 editions of part 1 and 2. And now we got an omnibus. So the interest is there. I'm sorry, if you have something that you can sell in the bookstores, in the comic book stores, you have something that you can sell on the stands. So, I mean, we had to celebrate that the Hidden Years is getting another edition, and it's a sad thing that it was canceled, but at the same time, at the end, shows you that the book had legs. It should have kept going post that part, and if you had the end, you had Byrne working with Terry and Chris Claremont, maybe that would have boded well to push the Hidden Years up. But who knows? But I'm happy it is. I'm not really too big on the big binding, and since I'm doing a lot of things, I should do something at the end. I'm thinking about doing something where I add so you can see some of the original art that Byrne did, because it's some gorgeous stuff. But gotta be cost effective and get you these videos. So maybe I'll do a separate thing with that. All right. So thank you. In the what did they say, the fourth quarter of 2023, you get there's an omnibus if you're interested. I had planned to do the Hidden Years at some point, but I also had a couple other original X-Men videos I wanted to do. That I wanted to do the origins. I definitely wanted to do that. I wanted to do just giving a nod to the stuff that happened after Jack Kirby, because I'm one of the few that was okay with Werner Roth artwork and the sort of the dynamics between it. The characterization is always strong in the book. The villains aren't that great before Neil Adams got there, but the characterization is strong. Ross Andrew does a little thing. I know people like the Steranko one, but I look at the two issues that Ross Andrew did, which are amazing. Like the second one is inked by Don Heck, and it's just knockout stuff. And it's like, it feels like Stan looked at it and said, we can't allow Ross Andrew. And then now you have on the Hidden Years, you have Byrne doing 22 issues of the X-Men. That's more than Kirby did. That's more than Neil Adams did. So it's a decent run to pick up. The characterization is very strong. It was a book that kind of took the place of the Next Men, because I always reread the Next Men, and then when this came out, I always reread the. I started rereading the X-Men because it was like a yearly thing of rereading the Next Men, but then I'll just constantly reread the Hidden Years because I just like those characters so much. And I was always a fan of the original X-Men. I don't see them as the way most people do, that they're just lame. They don't compare to the new. The thing of the original X-Men is the camaraderie. That the new X-Men, they had sharp differences. You have the pacifists from Africa, to the feral Wolverine, to the young but kind of heart of gold in Colossus, and you had Swashbuckler in Nightcrawler, and Cyclops, who's kind of the rigid one in the group. But the camaraderie that they had, where the new X-Men didn't really have as much bickering. When done right, the new X-Men, outside of Angel kind of getting, being boisterous, there wasn't that much bickering between the two of them. Even the fact of Angel taking, Warren taking Cyclops on his dates with Jean. So, there's it. 22 issues. At some point, I'll get it to you if you're interested. But I still want to do the originals before Byrne got there, because there's some stuff that's pretty good. So I went on a little bit longer, but check it out. And if you don't got it, you don't want to go online, try to get these. So get the out of print books. I think there's a couple out there for $60, and they also package them with other old issues, which are the Fantastic Four issues that coincide with it. There is also a Yellow Claw that coincides with it too. So, and Amazing Fantasy 14 with Tad Carter. All right, check out the Hidden Years. Hidden Years wins again, gets another reprint, gets a glowing write-up when it's put into Amazon by Marvel. Spin the rack out.